Now, old Velma Barfield had a pretty mundane life in North Carolina. Her father was an abusive dick, and her mother didn't stop him. So she married and left home at 17. She seemed happy after that with her husband Thomas Burke and 2 kids. That is until she had a hysterectomy and developed chronic back pain. She was put on painkillers and, well, a drug addiction followed. By all accounts, a nasty behavioral change also happened. She was constantly complaining after that. Her husband started drinking. It was just miserable. They'd been married nearly 20 years when the house they were living in caught fire. Luckily for the kids, Velma had taken them out, but when they returned, the house was gone and so was Burke. She married a widower the next year, Jennings Barfield. Barfield died in 1971, less than a year later, from heart complications. Velma's life sure had taken a turn of tragedies. Just 3 years after her second husband dies, her mom, Lillian Bullard, takes ill with a nasty bout of diarrhea, vomiting, nausea. She recovered but took ill again just after Christmas with the same intense symptoms. She died just after being admitted to hospital on December 30th. The next year, old Velma was convicted of 7 counts of writing bad checks. She went to prison for a few months, and when she got out, she began caring for an elderly and the infirm to support herself. She worked with Montgomery and Dolly Edwards in 1976, and Montgomery would die in January 1977. A month later, his wife would get very, very sick. She died on March 1st. The following summer, she was taking care of Record Lee, an elderly woman with a broken leg. Her husband, John, died after a really severe illness on June 4th. Velma was dating a relative of Dolly's, Roland Stewart Taylor. She died of arsenic poisoning on February the 3rd, 1978. She was arrested then because arsenic doesn't usually just show up in an autopsy without some nefarious doings. Accidents happen, but this was no accident. Velma was worried that Taylor figured out she was forging checks on his bank account to fund her prescription drug addiction. So she spiked his beer and his tea with rat poison. She was convicted of only this murder. They dug up Barfield and found arsenic on him too, but Velma denied having anything to do with that. Her mom, yeah, she poisoned. Edwards and John Henry too, but not Barfield, nope. She was sentenced to death and never tried for the other murders she confessed to. The death sentence, after all, was enough. There were all kinds of reasons put forward for her behavior. One of the primary causes being her addiction to drugs. Another person, a professor of psychiatry, would say that she was actually suffering from dissociative identity disorder, more commonly called split personality disorder. The judge wasn't having that, though. He said, quote, "One of them did it. I don't care which one," end quote, before sending her to death row. She was executed by lethal injection on November 2nd, 1984. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying these videos and want more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.